Assalamualaikum class 8. I hope that all of you are fine, doing well, and I hope that you all remember what we studied in the previous class. So, previously, before starting today's lesson, I'll just recall some of the important points of previous lesson. Uh, Previously, we were studying about structure of atom, how to design an atom, okay, and if we know what is proton number, what is a mass number, and if we know the proton number in an atom, how can we design the atom, the structure of it. And we also discussed about the elements, and one more thing, you have to memorize first 20 elements of the periodic table by heart, their structure, their probable location where you can find them, their proton number, their mass number, their names, and their chemical symbols. All right. So today's lesson is going to be on periodic table. But before uh, today's lesson, I'd like to revise the previous lesson. Um, I'd like you to go through from the previous lesson as well. I have revised it already now. So I'd like you all to go through it once. And for that, I have also shared maybe a quiz with you. Okay. So, one more thing. Uh, I have observed this thing from the previous lesson that most of you have not answered the questions in Nearpod app, and this was very disappointing for me that you didn't take it that seriously as you would take a live lesson. Guys, that is also a live lesson. Nearpod lesson is live. I am I do watch all your activity, whether you are answering the questions, whether you are not answering the questions. I watch them in real time. Okay, so it comes right in front of my screen that who has entered my lesson and who has not. So please don't think this that it doesn't matter, the teacher is not looking at us. So please, I am looking at you. And to those students who have not answered in the previous lesson in nearpod questions, I am telling you, please answer the questions now in this lesson. That thing, all the works which we do on nearpod, I record them in form of screenshots. They are with me, and when your parents are going to ask, I am going to share the screenshots with them that their student has not completed the work and I have given the work. Okay, so please don't make yourself and me uncomfortable in front of your parents and yourself. Answer. It's your duty to answer the questions which are asked during the lesson. Whether it is on Nearpod or whether it's on Kahoot or whether it is a live lesson going on Google Meet. If you are asked a question from a teacher, you are supposed to answer that question. And I believe that I am not going to say this thing again and again to you. In this lesson, I want everyone to participate and everyone will share their answers. Don't push me to my limits, please. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let's give it a minute. Okay, now I am presenting. Okay, everyone. So today's lesson is about periodic table. All right. In today's lesson, we are going to study about the patterns of periodic table and how periodic table is designed. Okay, and in this question, there are going to be a lot of questions, question and answers. There are a total of 30 slides of this question and answer session and of this class which we are conducting today. Okay, so let's move to the very first slide. So this lesson is meant to introduce to the students to a new topic. Okay, the topic is periodic table. Okay, so the very first question is a essential question. It is, how do you think? What is your thinking and what's your opinion on this fact that how does the organization of the periodic table support its function? Now, before knowing about its organization, let me tell you the definition of periodic table. Periodic table is actually a representation of elements in the form of a table. Okay, and this representation is not just a normal representation, it is properly organized in different ways, in different patterns. Its groups, they represent something else. Its periods, they represent something else. All the elements, they are arranged according to their proton number. Okay, so we are going to study this in detail. So what is the function of periodic table? Periodic table is actually a platform in which you can basically get all the information about all the elements that exist in nature. Okay, so that is the function of it, that whenever we need information, okay, what is the information of carbon, we'll look at the periodic table, we'll see its chemical symbol is C, its carbon, its mass number is 12, its proton number is 6. Okay, so these are different. This is the function of periodic table basically. Okay, so how does its organization support its function? Basically, it is all the effort of the scientist and its organization that a periodic table is useful for us in this world now. If it was not organized in this way, that we could know each and every detail of the element from periodic table, then we might had to dig deeper about each and every element. Okay, so we don't do that anymore. We just see it from the periodic table in order to get any of the information. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain how the organization of periodic table supports the understanding of elements. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Okay, so in today's lesson, we are going to take a close look at the periodic table and read how it is organized and why it is organized in this way. Then we are going to consider what will happen to the periodic table if more elements are discovered. All right. So let's start. The very first question which I want to think about is that you are only supposed to think, you're not supposed to answer this question, but think and answer it in your minds. That imagine that you needed to sort a bag of 3000 marbles. You have a bag having 3000 marbles and you had to sort it out. How would you sort them? What characteristics would you consider? How could you make it easy to find the marble you are looking for later? Okay, you will sort them in this way. Na? For example, if you have 3000 marble, first thing first, you're going to sort all of them by their sizes. Okay, then by their shapes, by their designs, by their color. Okay, so these are could be different factors on which you sort the marbles. So This slide actually tells us that why uh, scientists preferred to build a table, a periodic table. Okay, because if we knew all the elements, but we hadn't sorted them, then even if we need information about a single element, for example, someone if someone is researching about a specific element, hydrogen, the information, the basic information, driving the basic information regarding hydrogen would have been so difficult without the periodic table. Okay, so that's why periodic table is a necessity, especially for scientists. Now here we have an open ended question in which you have to answer. You will write the answer in this comment box, and then you are supposed to post your answer, and then you will move to the next slide. Okay, again I am telling you, boys, these are your classworks which you are supposed to answer at any cost, whether you know the answer, whether you don't know the answer. सही लिखें गलत लिखें, लेकिन लाजमी आंसर आप लिखें. आप इंटरनेट से सर्च करें, मुझसे पूछें, बुक से देखें. ओके, you have many sources so which you can use, but do you are required to answer these questions. They are considered as your classworks, and your classwork carry 20 marks in your midterms and final terms. Okay, so the question is that why is it important to have a good method of organization when working with large amounts of items? Why is it important? क्या जरूरत है एक अच्छे मेथड ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की? चीजों को ऑर्गेनाइज करने की क्या जरूरत है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट मी गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ अ कबर्ड. Okay, if you have thrown everything up and down in the cupboard, what is going to happen? When you open it, everything is going to fall on your face, right? Just think in your mind, a organized cupboard and unorganized cupboard. In an organized cupboard, everything, all of your clothes are on one side, all of the body sprays on one side, and then everything is settled. And when you open it, it will give you a good, a pleasant effect, and then you can just pick up what you want easily. Okay, but if you have just thrown everything inside the cupboard, then what will happen? You will open it, everything, some things are going to fall down, some things are going to fall on your face. You won't be able to find out the thing which you are looking for. Okay, so now you are supposed to answer this question, that why is it important to have a good method of organization? Okay, general, it's a general question which you are going to answer. I want you to answer this in at least 2 to 3 lines. Okay, and then move to the next slide. So, on the next slide, you have the periodic table, and you will observe and think about how the way the periodic table is organized. Okay, so here we have a video. It shows us the periodic table and its arrangement. Now, if you look here, they are showing you hydrogen. Okay, first element is hydrogen, symbol is H. This one which is written on the top corner, left corner, is the actually the proton number. Okay, and they are giving the then the different details regarding hydrogen atom. Now hydrogen has proton number 1, helium 2, lithium 3. Okay, so let me tell you once that right in front of you is a periodic table. You can see all the elements organized in some patterns. There are two basic patterns if we see according to arrangement. One is arrangement in columns, vertical columns going from upward till downward, then upward till downward. Okay, these columns are called groups. You can name them one group starting from this top end, one, then you have two, then you have three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So in a total you have 18 columns. Each column has its own properties. Okay, and it's differentiated from the other column on the basis of its properties. All right, and each column is called a group. Then you have the second type of arrangement is in the form of rows, horizontal arrangement. Okay, there are a total of 7 rows which are here and 2 which are at the bottom. Okay, so these rows are known as periods. Periods. Okay, periods. So the elements, they are arranged in periods in order of increasing proton number. For example, here you have, in the very first period, you have only 2 elements: hydrogen of proton number 1, then helium proton number 2. Then in the second period you have lithium, which has proton number 3, then beryllium 4, boron 5, carbon 6, nitrogen 7, oxygen 8, fluorine 9, neon 10. Okay, then 11 is sodium in the third period, and 12 is magnesium, then 13 is aluminium, 14 is silicon, 15 is phosphorus, 16 is sulfur, 17 is chlorine, 18 is argon. Okay, argon. Then in the fourth period, very first element is potassium, and its proton number is 19, and then calcium has proton number 20. So you have to memorize periodic table from hydrogen till calcium in groups and in periods both. Their proton number, their symbol, their chemical symbol, and their name, their mass number, everything. So you will watch this video carefully and then you will move to the next slide. Here we have an open-ended question for you. You are going to answer this question. Now, how is the periodic table organized? Now you know that periodic table is organized in groups and in periods. Okay, so you have to write 2 to 3 lines describing that how periodic table is organized. You can take help from internet or your book, and you can define what is a group, you can define what is a period, and what things were taken care of in mind in order to organize the elements in the form of groups and in the form of periods. Okay, then how might this organization method support finding key information? मीन्स अगर आपको कोई इंफॉर्मेशन लेनी हो पीरियोडिक टेबल में से, तो ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है पीरियोडिक टेबल की, आप उसमें कैसे हेल्प करते हैं? ठीक है, सो यू आर गोइंग टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन in around 3-4 lines, and then you will move to the next slide. So here we have draw it, and this is again a question. You have to identify one feature of the periodic table that makes it useful for finding key information. You can any feature which you think is presented in this periodic table, circle it and describe what it might tell you. For example, you can circle this small 1 above hydrogen, and you can entitle it as proton number. Okay, so what does proton number tell you? It tells you the number of protons in an atom, and by knowing the number of protons in an atom, you can tell how much electrons and neutrons might it have. Okay, so draw it label it, and please draw it in a very neat way. Okay, don't scrabble it all over, because in the previous lesson I saw some students who just scrabbled it, and I couldn't understand that what they are trying to say. So please don't scrabble it, try to answer neatly. You can also add you type it here like this. You can type it as well. You can use a pen, you can use a pencil, you can use a picture. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Let's explain what we observed. So this is a very interesting article consisting of 4 5 pages, which actually tell you about different organization in the periodic table. All right, so I'll just give you a brief introduction of it. So, periodic table was introduced by Mendeleev. He was a scientist in Russia. In 1869, he introduced periodic table. Okay, and he actually identified all the organization patterns in the periodic table. You can read it out in detail. I am just giving you the introduction. So here he told us about groups, about the periods. The modern statement of this relationship is periodic law. What is periodic law? It says that the properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic numbers. इसका मतलब है कि जो एलिमेंट की प्रॉपर्टीज होती हैं वो आपको उसके एटॉमिक नंबर से पता चल सकती हैं कि उसकी क्या प्रॉपर्टीज हों. You can perspect the properties. Okay, then a modern periodic table arranges the elements in increasing order of their atomic numbers and groups atoms with similar properties in same column. The elements which are present in same column, they have similar properties. Okay, I have told you already that horizontal rows are called periods, and there are total of seven periods, and there are a total of 18 vertical columns which are known as groups. Now here we are going to study about different groups. Okay, so group number one. Group number one, now you can see from this periodic table that all the elements which are shown in skin color, they are metals and they are solid at room temperature. Those shown in purple color, they are liquids and they are metalloids. And those which are shown in gray color, these are non-metals and most of them are gases. All right. So group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and some elements from group 13, 14, 15, and 16 as well. They are metals. Okay, and you know the properties of metals. Metals are malleable, metals are hard, they are brittle, they are shiny. All right, they are ductile. Ductile means that they can form wires, and malleable means that they can be molded to form different shapes. All right, so you should note these things down. Group number one, the name of group number one is alkali metals. ALKALI, alkali. metals. Okay, alkali metals have a specific property that they form salts when they are combined with elements present in group number 17. For example, when sodium combines with chlorine, it forms sodium chloride, and sodium chloride is stable salt. Okay, potassium combining with chlorine, potassium chloride, the sea salt. Okay, so all the elements in group 1, when they will react with the elements in group 17, they are going to form salts. And when you will dissolve these salts in water, they will form alkalis. Okay, which means that they are going to raise the pH of water from 7 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14 maybe. I hope that everyone knows about what are acids and alkalis. Okay, so group number 2. The elements present in group number 2 are called alkaline earth metals. Alkaline earth metals. ALKALINE, alkaline, EARTH, earth metals. Okay, all these metals are present under the surface of earth. They can be found within the earth, and that's why they are called alkaline earth metals. Here they are telling you about more details. um, Group number name, there are names of group number 15, other specific names. These names are given to different groups on the basis of their properties. Okay, and the two rows which are right at the bottom, which are not a part of any period, they are lanthanides and actinides. Okay, it is written over here, you can read it out. All right, so then the important group is group number 17, that is halogens. Okay, halogens are mostly, they are very important because they help, they are present almost everywhere. They form salts and different types of gases, and which are useful actually. Then in group number 8, 18, sorry, in group 18 you have noble gases, or they are also called inert gases. All right, as represented by noble, they, their outermost shell is actually complete. Okay, so they do not form molecules. All the elements which are present in group number 18, they are present in atomic form, whereas all other elements, they are not present in the atmosphere, or their natural existence is not in the form of atoms. They are present in the form of molecules. Okay, but you can break down molecules to separate the molecules and make their atoms, but naturally they are in molecular form, while only the um, gases which are present in group number 18, they are noble gases. Okay, because they are not able to take part in any chemical reaction. They cannot do chemical reaction, noble gases. Okay, neon, for example, neon, xenon, helium, you can find out there. Neon is a fluorescent gas, it sparkles in night. Okay, and helium is filled in air balloons, helium balloons, hot air balloons. Okay, so that's the importance of these group. You can read them out, their properties. All right, so let's read out the summary. The discovery of periodic recurrence of similar properties among the elements led to the formulation of the periodic table, in which the elements are arranged in order of increasing atomic number in rows known as periods and columns known as groups. Elements in the same group of the periodic table have similar chemical properties. Elements can be classified as metals, metalloids, and nonmetals, or as a main group of elements, uh, transition metals. Okay, now transition metals are all the shiny type of metals which are present in group ranging from group number 3 till group number 12. Okay, all these metals are transition metals. They are called transition metals because their number of neutron it varies. Okay, they have different number of neutrons in different cases. Okay, so elements in the same group have similar chemical properties. Elements can be classified as metals, metalloids, non-metals. I am going to in the next lesson, inshallah, next live online meet. In next live online meet, I will uh, make you write notes. Okay, we will inshallah ta'ala write properties of all these groups separately, individually. Okay, so for now I have told you all the properties which you need to know. So now we have an open ended question that summarize the organization of the periodic table. Okay, how does it support finding key information? Just take 2 to 3 lines to answer this question and then move to the next slide. So in the next slide, you have again the periodic table where you would look to find elements known as metals. Now here you have to label and circle the put a circle on that entire area where you can find metals. Then move to the next slide. Why is the periodic table organized in this way? The basic reason of this organization is to categorize and to so that we can easily obtain information from it. Okay, everyone, every scientist can retrieve information from this periodic table. Okay, so this is again a collaboration board. What do you think is the most important information can be found using the periodic table? You can add anything which you are thinking, which you think that can be found using the periodic table. Okay, so write that thing down over here. For example, properties. I'm writing properties over here, and then I can also add pictures by clicking on this link. I can add the pictures, drop the file there, and then post. Your post is going to appear right in front of this collaborative board. You can like other people's post by clicking on this heart. Okay, so I want everyone to contribute in this discussion. All right, it's important and it's necessary for you to write anything which comes up in your mind. Okay, so let's dig deeper. Is the periodic table full? Now, this is an important thing. In the next slide, you are going to watch a video that discuss how the periodic table has changed over time. Actually, periodic table can never be completed. Okay, it has changed over time because in different eras, different scientists they um, invented or they discovered different elements and they added it into the periodic table. So the basic concept of creating periodic table of was of Mendeleev, but after Mendeleev there were many scientists who discovered different elements and added those elements in the periodic table. Okay, so after watching, you will discuss how periodic table may need to continue to change if we or if you discover something, how can you add it to the periodic table? Okay, so does the evidence presented in the video, you are required to, everyone is required to watch the video very carefully and then think these questions in your minds. You can discuss them with your parents, you can discuss them with any other fellows if you want to. Does the evidence presented in this video suggest that periodic table needs to be restructured? Do you think it should be rearranged? इसको दोबारा से बनाया जाए या इसको रीस्ट्रक्चर किया जाए, मतलब इसको रिकंस्ट्रक्ट किया जाए, रीबिल्ड किया जाए? और हम क्या कर सकते हैं अगर हम न्यू एलिमेंट्स को डिस्कवर करें, तो हम उसमें कैसे ऐड करेंगे पीरियोडिक टेबल में न्यू एलिमेंट? ओके, नाउ अगेन दिस इज अ discussion board on which you are supposed to answer this question. What do you think we would do if we identify new elements? Share your suggestions on this board. Okay, you are supposed to write a suggestion of how can you add something, or how can you add the newly identified elements to the periodic table, and then you are going to post it. You can post a link to a video, you can post a picture, you can post anything which you want to over here. Okay, anything related to periodic table. Okay, so now let's evaluate what we have learned. Now, using the periodic table, classify each of the following elements as metals or non-metals. You have studied about periodic table. Okay, now you are supposed to write whether this is a metal or it's a non-metal. I recommend you to type it. Okay, using this, here you are supposed to write your text and add your text. Okay, don't scrabble it all over. And it doesn't have anything below this, so you are not supposed to drag it up and down. Okay, so let's now we have an open-ended question. Describe the organization of periodic table in your own words. Now you know all about the organization of periodic table, and now I want you to summarize it actually. Okay, you have answered this question 2 to 3 times before, but previously we didn't knew all the type of organization which was for the periodic table. Okay, so now we know all the arrangement and organization of periodic table, so I expect you to write 2 to 3 lines over here and submit the answers to me. And again, I'm telling you that submitting answers is very important. I'm going to keep a record of screenshots in the form of screenshots with me. Okay, so please answer the questions. If you don't understand the question, you can ask me um, on WhatsApp. Okay, and I will give you the answer. But don't leave it as, just skip it. Don't skip it. So, how well do you understand the organization of periodic table? Very well, pretty well, not very well, or not at all? If someone has not at all understood the organization of periodic table, you can watch this lesson again. Okay, so and then I think if you watch it once or twice, then you might know that how periodic table is arranged. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. All right, and I hope that you have understood it. If you have not understood it yet, then you can ask me question uh, on WhatsApp. I am available there, and actually I'll be expecting your questions, because it's not possible for you to understand it all at once. Okay, and this lesson will be available on Nearpod for one day. You can redo it, you can submit your answers, resubmit your answers. Okay. But everyone is supposed to submit the answers to me. All right. So thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz.